You're up.
Hi, I'm Lisa Stewart, and my topic for research was to choose a finch and research whether it was selective in its feeding habits. So I chose the Goldian finch, and it is the Clovia goldia is its scientific name. Before I could actually set up an experiment, I did some research and I came across a lot about competition, and the finches not only will compete with other species for the food, but also they have to compete within their species so that they get enough food. So for my study, I tried to minimize the competition for the resources. One of the classifications of finches, the two of the notable families are the Estreldids and the Fringillids, and there's a bunch of different types of each, and they generally, the Fringillids have stronger biting force and more jaw muscle, but that's not necessarily always true. And these two just differ in their location and their morphology a little bit. These are some examples of the Estreldidae. This one here is the one I chose, that's the Goldian finch, and then the Java sparrow and zebra finch are just some other common ones. And this is a table from one of the research studies that I read about. And here is the Clovia goldia, which was the one I researched. And it has the body mass of 15.2 grams, and it has a biting force of 4.1 newtons. And the biting force just affects their food choice, because some seeds take more force to crack and are harder for the birds to do that. And it has 118.6 milligrams of jaw muscle. And then for the Fringillidae, these are some examples. The hawfinch is probably one of the bigger ones, and it has the most of the jaw muscle out of all of them that are on this chart. And it is, the hawfinch is right here. It had 54.4 grams in its body mass, so it's a lot bigger, and that for that species they didn't have a bite force because they didn't have an alive species to test for that. But it had a significantly higher jaw muscle mass there too. So my study differs from those because I'm studying whether they have a preference of seeds rather than what seeds they can eat. For my background, morphology is one of the things that can influence the seed preference, just because some seeds may not even be possible for them to eat. This is just a general morphology of the beak shape. And then also even just the camouflaging of the seeds into the environment make it harder to find, so they're less likely to prefer that one. For the Estreldids, like the Goldian finch, their bite force, or their 1.4 times less overall body mass in general than the Fringillids. And the strongest correlation that Vandermeyer and Bout found was between the jaw muscle mass and the bite force. And the adductor mandible muscle right there, that's the muscle that influenced the bite force the most, which makes sense because in alligators and crocodiles, which are pretty much birds, and in some ways the closing muscles are the strongest, and the opening muscles aren't as strong because they don't need to be. And the highest point of the bird beak where the bite force is the strongest is closer than here at the rictus rather than at the tip. So research suggests why these birds may be able to eat some seeds and not others, but it didn't show whether they had a preference. So for the Gouldian finch, they said that it would most likely feed on smaller grassy seeds because they aren't large and don't have a large bite-like force. So I predicted that the sunflower seeds will be the least visited of the feeders of the seeds, and that the smaller grass seeds will be, like I used canary grass seeds, and that will be the most visited. The seeds that I will use in my study are the flaxseed up there, the millet beside it. This is the canary grass seed that I'm predicting will be the most visited. The sunflower seeds, which will be the least visited, and then the wheat germ. For the experiment, I would like to set up 20 enclosures, and they will just like mimic sort of like a natural habitat, like have trees and nesting areas. And then to record the visits to the feeder, because that's how I'm quantifying their preference, there's going to be a weight sensor hooked up to the feeders, and it will register anywhere between 10 and 100 grams to ensure that every visit is counted for finches, even if more than one are feeding at once. And I'm going to have half of the pens will be all male and half will be all female, just to like control another variable. And so that's how they'll be arranged in there. And I will be allowing them to adjust to their new habitat for about a week first, and then I will turn the sensors on and start collecting data for a whole month. And for the 10 feeders scattered throughout, 2 of each kind, however many visits, will be like compiled at the end, and make some graphs and stuff and see which seed they may prefer. Thank you. These are my references.